Hi, and welcome to Wisdom Thought Family. If your heart feels heavy, curious, or quietly searching, I'm thankful you're here. Whether this is your first time or you've been with us before, let's take this moment to rest and reflect on God's wisdom together. I am your Lolo Adam. Here's a question worth thinking about. Have you ever noticed that some people seem to experience God's favor wherever they go? Peace in difficult seasons, provision when things look uncertain, and open doors when others feel stuck. What if the Bible reveals one simple trait that invites God's favor into our lives, not through luck, not through wealth, but through the posture of our hearts? Today, we're going to talk about generosity, what it truly means according to Scripture, and how this one trait can transform not only the way we give, but the way we live. Stay with me until the end, because I'll share a practical, biblical step you can apply today, one that may change how you experience God's blessing in every season of life. What generosity really means. When most people hear the word generosity, they immediately think of money. But in the Bible, generosity is far deeper than finances. It's a heart posture. Proverbs 11:25 tells us, "A generous person will prosper. Whoever refreshes others will be refreshed." Notice this verse doesn't say, "the rich will prosper." It says, "the generous." Biblical generosity includes giving our time, our compassion, our forgiveness, and our encouragement. It's about being open-handed in a world that often teaches us to cling tightly to what we have. God's wisdom shows us that generosity isn't about losing, it's about trusting. When we give with the right heart, we acknowledge that God is our source, not our possessions. The power of an open hand. Proverbs 11:24 paints a powerful contrast. One gives freely, yet grows all the richer. Another withholds what he should give and only suffers want. This verse may seem upside down by worldly standards. How can giving lead to abundance while withholding leads to lack? Because generosity aligns us with God's nature. God Himself is generous. He gives life, grace, mercy, and provision freely. When we reflect His character, we position ourselves to receive His favor. Picture this. Mark was working a modest job, barely earning enough to cover his expenses. One day, he learned that a coworker was struggling to pay for their child's medical needs. Mark hesitated. He didn't have much to spare. But after praying, he felt a quiet nudge to help, so he gave what he could, even though it meant personal sacrifice. Weeks later, Mark unexpectedly received an opportunity for extra work that provided exactly what he had given and more. But more than the financial return, he experienced peace and joy knowing he had obeyed God. Mark's generosity didn't make him poorer. It reminded him that God is faithful. Proverbs 19:17 says, "Whoever is generous to the poor lends to the Lord, and He will repay him for his deed." Sometimes, generosity looks like listening when someone needs to be heard. Sometimes it looks like forgiveness when we've been wronged. Sometimes it looks like encouragement when someone feels unseen. God values the generosity of spirit just as much as the generosity of resources. And often, the smallest acts of kindness open the greatest doors for God's work. Take a look at this scenario. Emily worked in an office where she was often overlooked. One day, a colleague took credit for her idea during a meeting. Emily felt hurt and angry. She had every reason to confront the situation harshly, but instead, she chose generosity of heart. She calmly clarified her contribution without bitterness and continued treating her colleague with respect. Over time, her integrity was noticed. Leadership recognized her character, and opportunities followed. Emily learned that generosity isn't weakness, it's strength guided by wisdom. If this message spoke to you, consider sharing it with someone who needs encouragement today. And if you haven't yet, like this video, subscribe, and ring the notification bell so you don't miss future wisdom-filled reflections. The Bible also gives us a warning. Proverbs 21:13. Whoever shuts their ears to the cry of the poor will also cry out and not be answered. A closed hand often reflects a closed heart. When we refuse to be generous, whether with resources, compassion, or mercy, we distance ourselves from God's purposes. God doesn't bless generosity because He needs our giving. He blesses it because we need the transformation that generosity brings. Proverbs 13:16 reminds us, "All who are prudent act with knowledge, but fools expose their folly." True generosity is not reckless. It's prayerful. It seeks God's guidance, wisdom, and discernment. Generosity guided by wisdom protects both the giver and the receiver. So here's a simple question to reflect on today. Where is God inviting you to be more generous, not just with money, but with your heart? What if the favor you've been praying for is connected to the generosity you've been holding back? Stay giving, stay generous, and open-handed. Thank you for spending this time with me. May your heart stay open, your hands generous, and your life aligned with God's wisdom.